Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our current session is about accents versus dialect. Well, I hope and expect by the end of this session you would be able to differentiate between the two terms and you would be able to see how they are used in sociolinguistics. I would start with the definition of accent at the outset. I hope and expect that you already know what an accent is. Just to refresh our understanding of that, I would say an accent is a distinctive way of pronouncing language, especially one associated with a particular country, area, or social class. So, varieties or differences in pronunciation that are based on country, social class, area, or any other such variable, they come under the term accent. An accent is actually a way of pronouncing a certain variety of language. On the other hand, if I define dialect, a dialect varies from other dialects. It differentiates itself from other dialects or other languages on three different levels of organization. What are those three levels? Pronunciation, grammar or syntax, and vocabulary. So my dear students, if you look at the screen, what I would like you to notice is these are three aspects: pronunciation, grammar, that is syntax, and vocabulary, that a dialect deals with. These are the minimum three levels. Whereas if you compare it with accent, accent only deals with pronunciation. So, accent then may be called only one aspect, or one perspective when it comes to language variation, whereas dialect is a more diversified, set of parameters that is used to classify one variety as being different from the other variety. Well, my dear students, educated speakers of American English and British English can be regarded as using dialects of the same language because differences of these three kinds exist between them. If you look at the practices, in practice, however, speakers of the two varieties, they share a common grammar and differ from each other more in terms of vocabulary and pronunciation. So, what it means is, in these two varieties, the people would have the same kind of grammar, they would have the same kind of syntax, they would have probably same kind of vocabulary, though vocabulary can differ sometimes. But largely, the difference would be in terms of pronunciation. So, the differences would only be in terms of what? Accent, as it is mentioned here in terms of pronunciation. Well, my dear students, if you look at the screen, I have shown you some examples here. It is a comparison of American and British, varieties of English on the basis of the same three, levels, the same three parameters, which include, if you look at the left side, pronunciation, grammar and syntax, and vocabulary. So, if you, for example, look at the pronunciation of the word ate, second form of eat, we would compare it in American and, British pronunciations, and we would see the differences of accent. In American pronunciation, it is more like ate, like we speak mate, for example. It rhymes with mate. For example, when we speak of the same word ate in British English, it more rhymes with, it is more pronounced like it, not ate, it's it. American ate, British it. So it is more like met, et sound. When it comes to grammar and syntax, for example, look at this comparison that is made here in this sentence and the second sentence. The first one is, Jane had gotten used to it. Notice the grammar. Jane had gotten used. If you compare it with the British syntax, the British grammar, Jane had got used to it. So, this gotten and this choice of got, past participle of get that is used here as got, and here it is used as gotten. This is the difference in the syntax and the grammar of the two. When it comes to vocabulary, when we compare the American variety and the British variety, what we can notice is, for example, Sam took the elevator rather than the stairs. In the British variety, Sam took the lift rather than the stairs. So, the vocabulary item elevator is used in American English, whereas for the same equipment, lift is the word that is used in British English. So, both the varieties of British and American English, they vary in terms of pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. Now, this particular part, pronunciation, only this one deals with accent. Whereas in totality, the three of these, they create the different variety as what we call a dialect. My dear students, people have very strong views on accents. People always believe that others have accents and they never themselves have accents. Actually, Americans would think Australians have accent. Australians would think Americans have accent. And when they say somebody having an accent or speaking with accent, what does it mean? Varying from, being different from the standard variety. Strictly speaking, however, it is impossible to speak any variety without some accent. So I hope you are clear about what is accent and how, it deals with a variety in pronunciation that may be based on an individual's choices, but that is also that can be possibly based on the social factors like the place of origin, like for example where you are settled, like for example your education, and other social factors like your profession or your community, etc. Whereas when it comes to dialect, it is the kind of totality of the variety of language that you use based on vocabulary, based on pronunciation, that is the accent, and based on the grammar and the syntax that differentiates one variety of language or one variety of code from the other one.